everybody. Welcome to the June 12th Town Board meeting, Town of Rhinebeck. Would everybody please stand for... Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 12th Town Board meeting, Town of Rhinebeck. Would everybody please stand for the pledge?
Okay.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior minutes. I'm going to bundle these all unless somebody has an objection. For May 8th, 2017, our regular town board meeting. May 7th, our special town board meeting. May 22nd, our regular town board meeting. And June 6th, our special town board meeting. May I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. A couple of announcements. Town Hall will be closed this Wednesday between 12 and 1:30. We're having a Town Hall employee work lunch. We usually get a lot done then. We talk about all the projects we need to do about here, and employees tell me what needs to be done, and we schedule it. Also, we're moving into summer now, so we'll be having one meeting unless we need a special meeting for July and August. We'll be meeting on July 9th and on August 14th. And the pool opens full-time on the 26th of June when summer camp starts. It goes for 7 weeks through the 7th of August. Everything having to do with the pool, the concession stand, which will be open during pool hours, and rec camp is on rhinebeckrec.com, so check it out. Does anybody else have any other announcements? So Alan and I have been working with Mayor Bassett and Kyle Amy, the chief of the Rhinebeck Fire Department, and the village has opened their books to us and their budget, and we're going over fire protection. And Alan has been working nonstop, creating spreadsheets of all of the fire districts and the town portions of the fire protection district. So with the village's help, we're coming to a resolution, and we'll be meeting with the other fire companies. And Jennifer Lund, our elected assessor, and I are meeting with the village at their village board meeting tomorrow with John Wallen, who's from the State Department of Real Property Taxation, to talk about the state's recommendation and the assessor's desire to go ahead with a town-wide reassessment reevaluation to make sure that we have taxation parity, which we don't seem to have now. I think that's all. One more thing, the county-wide, the mandatory, the state has a mandatory program that all municipalities must participate in a county-wide shared service initiative, and we supervisors and mayors of the county have been meeting. I think we've had 3 meetings that the county has put together for us to come up with a plan that we can all stick to further consolidate departments in government to ensure the lowest taxation possible. That's all I have.
Yeah, the process committee that I was...
Zoning and planning.
Yeah, the zoning, planning, building permit process committee basically has completed their work. There's a report that's being written. But basically what's been done is that we've put together some handouts. We've changed the flow through the process so that the CEO no longer attends the pre-application meetings, freeing up his time. The application has been revised so that it's more complete, and it's for any application. And the frequency of the planning board meetings and the zoning board of appeals meetings have changed to reflect the load of the meetings. So they reduced the number of ZBA meetings and increased the number of planning board meetings to match the demand. There's some guidelines being written for certain kinds of permits, and there's some recommendations which we're still working on, but I'll have those out between now and the next meeting. We've also applied for a grant from the county to pay for a consultant to come in and look at doing job descriptions, validate the process work we've done, and look at the staffing levels and whether that's appropriate, and look at some of the other aspects. One of the complaints we had was that it's confusing when you walk downstairs as to who to talk to and where to go, because the signage is a little weak and the offices are scattered all over the place. I mean, if you know where to go, it's fine, but if you're new, it can be very confusing, so that's another aspect we want to look at.
Thank you. Thanks for your work. For this year, we have budgeted for an additional code enforcement officer, a zoning administrator, to do actually on-the-road enforcement work. It's in our budget. Can we move forward at all and look for somebody to hire part-time? My concern is that, with 20 hours a week, Ron isn't able to get out there, and we haven't been able to prosecute any of the maybe 2 dozen chronic zoning offenders we have. We spent a ton of money on our excellent comprehensive plan and our zoning code, and I think we have to enforce it. I also just want to say that the part-town revenue is really strong. We've taken a lot of money on building permits, and we can use that money within part-town to fund additional code enforcement, and I think we have to do that.
Yeah, the committee talked about that, and there's at least a fair segment of the committee that would be in favor of a full-time CEO as opposed to 2 part-time, and splitting it. But that's something we can talk about.
Yeah, or at least get somebody in to start looking at all of these,
Violation.
yeah, we've got cases that have just been dangling for years, and we haven't taken the necessary, in my opinion, enforcement. We haven't prosecuted it. We need to. Does anybody else have any other? Okay, I'm going to go. We have a public hearing that's open. It's a local law deleting. I'll make a motion for a local law deleting section 125-63 of the town code titled Affordable Housing and replacing it with a new section 125-63 of the town code relating to affordable housing. We have revised copies of the proposed local law and the EAF, and the resolution has noticed that we have made some changes to this. This is the official laying down in front of us. We need time to have it and notice the public before we vote at it, which will be at our next meeting. And I think we'll hold the public hearing open until then. And Warren, would you like to take us through this?
Okay, well, I'm not going to take you through the changes.
No.
Joe could probably do that better, and the committee could do it better. But in terms of what we have now is there were some changes that were made to the law as a result of input we received from the public hearings and from discussions and recommendations from the planning board. That's now reflected in the law, so there were certain amendments that were made to the law. So at this point, we feel that the law in its present form is ready for adoption. What's left to be done is for me to just take you through part 2 of the environmental assessment form. We did a part 1. The town is the only lead agency with regard to this project, the only involved agency. So you already approved the part 1 of the environmental assessment form. I'll try to quickly go through the part 2 with you. Part 2 is divided into sections which relate to potential impacts of the proposed action, which is the law on the environment. First question is, would the proposed action involve construction of on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site? And that answer should be no. So should be copy you have? Yes, say yes.
No, it says
I
no.
thought that was changed. I sent it.
Mine says
I sent the change in environmental assessment form.
1 or A?
This is 1, but the form that I sent was changed. Did you get the?
Yeah, I don't think this is the latest.
Yeah.
I thought that was the latest, but
Okay, so we'll just manually change it.
Yes.
So 1 should be no. 2, will the proposed action have an impact on, geological features? And the answer to that is no. 3 is, will the proposed action have any impacts on surface water? The answer to that is no. If you disagree, let me know. 4, will it have an impact on groundwater? The answer to that is supposed to be no.
And what my understanding is, the reason these are no's is this is a law, not a project. And conceivably, a project could have this effect, but just adopting this law will have no effect on the environment.
That's correct. Question 5, will it have an impact on flooding? I answered the question no. 6, will it have any impact on air? No. 7, impacts on plants and animals? That should be no, not yes. 8, impact on agricultural resources? That should be no, not yes. 9, impact on aesthetic resources? That should be no, not yes. 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources? That should be no, not yes. 11, impact on open space and recreation? That is no. 12, impact on critical environmental areas? That's, again, is no, should not be yes. 13, impact on transportation? No. 14, impact on energy? No. 15, impact on noise, odor, and light? It's no. 16, impact on human health? That is no. 17, consistency with the community plans. Actually, the question is, proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans, and the answer to that is no, it is consistent. 18, the proposed action is inconsistent with community character, and the answer to that should be no.
It's like it's a trick
18.
question.
Pardon?
It's like a trick
Yeah,
question.
it is, it's like a negative.
Double negative.
Just to make sure we're paying
Double
attention.
negative. So went through 18. Again, as Joe had said, the reason for this is not a site-specific application. There are times that a local law could have these impacts, even though it doesn't involve a site-specific, but not in this case. If we receive an affordable housing project of a scale that triggers environmental impacts, that will be determined, the environmental significance of that project will be determined at that time. So if this is all acceptable to you, I would just ask for that, it's already in the resolution, that the board agree that this project will not have the potential for significant environmental impacts, and the draft environmental impact statement need not prepare. If everybody has a consensus on that, I've already put that into the resolution. So,
Does anybody not agree with this?
Do you need a roll call on this?
no. We'll need a roll call. Well, you
We're
don't
not
even need one
voting
on the
it
resolution.
tonight.
So basically then we are issuing what we call a negative secret declaration. We don't have to fill out part 3. This does have to be signed in the space indicated at the bottom by the town supervisor, and then we're done with secret.
Does anybody from the committee want to take us through the changes in the law?
Well, the changes, there's a black line that is on the website, and I think it's been sent to town board members, but there are a fair number of changes. Most of them are insubstantial, but if you look at the black line,
I didn't know if anyone was here to
It's-
No, I mean, we moved the fee structure out of the law itself, which was one of the recommendations that we received. We made the
Do you
adjustment.
mind coming up?
Yes.
Thank you.
So really, I mean, none of this is big. Most of them are just wordsmithing changes based on a bunch of different people going through the document and giving some small comments. We moved the fee structure out of the law itself, and then also changed the fee structure to match the comments that we got from the board at the last meeting. But those are really the big
Thank
ones.
you. All right.
So you are going to need, when you adopt this local law, assuming that you do, You're going to need a subsequent resolution establishing
The fees.
the fees.
We should pass that at the next meeting. If we pass the law, it would be good to pass it in tandem. I would hate to pass the law without a fee schedule. So if we're going to pass the law
Okay.
at the
I
next
don't know if the
meeting.
committee wants to work on the fee schedule and have that ready for.
We workshopped this at our last meeting and came to at the workshop and came to an agreement of where we wanted the fees to be. So I would like that. That's all right.
Here, I have it ready.
Just one other point. I am going to be working with the committee further on a couple of issues that came up, which we're trying to do after we pass this local law, and that will be to discuss the possibility of adopting an amendment to the local law to have a floating zone for an affordable housing district, and also to consider putting back in the law the fee schedule with regard to subdivisions, which was on our original law, but was taken out of this. So we'll continue to work on that.
Thank you.
The committee, at its last meeting, decided that they would pull models of a floating zone. We would gather that up and talk about some of the issues that whoever drafts it will have to know how to come out. And then once we have the issues presented to the town board to decide on these issues. Some of these issues are commercial, should it be included? Should market rate units be included or not? And I think as we look at the models in other places for a floating zone, there'll be some other issues that will be decided.
Thank you. Do we have to vote on the resolution before us? Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. So we will have this along with the recommended fee schedule that we workshopped for a vote to pass the local law at our next meeting at the end of the month. So thank you all for your continued work on this. Also, I'd like to have a meeting with the mayor to bring him up to speed on some aspects of this. Maybe we could schedule that for after we've adopted the local law, or not next week, the week after.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Thank you. Next, we're going to take a couple of things out of order. I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2017-134, awarding the bid for the removal of trees at the cemetery. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
With regard to the certificate of insurance, it's behind the bid, behind the proposed award. The certificate holder on the certificate of liability insurance is said to be Town of Rhinebeck Cemetery. I think it's probably the Town of Rhinebeck. Town of Rhinebeck Cemetery. As far as I know, it's not a legal entity yet. It's a separate legal entity that would be good. There's that point, and then also, there's the second box from the top requires that the certificate of holder, which would be the Town of Rhinebeck, if I'm correct about what I just said, is an additional assured that policies must be endorsed. So we need to make sure somebody has responsibility for following up and seeing that the policies are endorsed, or we won't have insurance.
Okay.
Okay.
Who should follow up on that?
I don't know.
And what does that entail?
It entails being, I think it entails being in touch with the insurance company, telling them you want them to endorse the policies, and they'll have a form of endorsement.
Our
They'll attach the
insurance
policy.
company.
The insurance company that is insuring this project, in this case, it's Union Insurance Company and Katie Insurance Company.
Ed, will you make sure that that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be you, it could be John, it could be the people elsewhere in the cemetery. It's a pro forma
You
thing,
can,
but
you
it needs
can
to be done.
delegate it, just make sure it
It
gets
just needs to
done.
be done. Same thing's gonna come up with the session.
Any other discussion?
I guess I was struck by the huge variance in bids. I'm wondering why, and have we contacted, I don't know, is any of this useful for firewood? And did we contact firewood dealers? And I guess the last thing is where we're gonna get the money to pay.
Yeah,
All
so we
of the above.
have the money from the permanent maintenance fund. We have 3 really big capital projects. 2 are the stone walls, which is coming up next. The other stone wall that we haven't addressed yet. And then this tree work. There's more tree work that needs to be done in the cemetery, but this is like the big push in the natural burial ground. So we do have the money in that account. We also have some money in our capital account. We also have money in the other account that hasn't been released by the courts yet. So we do have other.
How much is, what about Friends of the Cemetery?
Yes, Friends of the Cemetery has money. We are prepared right now to give $10,000 to the stone wall project. So that's where we're, in addition to the other projects that we're working on right now, we're replacing all the benches in the cemetery. That's upwards of about, well, they're $12.50 a piece, and there's over 20 benches, so we're spending about $25,000 on that. And of course, we have the tree program that we're currently working on, and the monument inventory that we're moving toward. We're going to be fixing a lot of the old monuments. So those are the projects we're working on right now.
Do you have a lot of donations to the Friends of the
We
Cemetery?
do. We have about, right now, we currently, we have about $30,000, I think, and we'll be doing our annual appeal, so that's coming up.
That's nice, thank you.
Yeah.
On the benches, and this is, if people want a bench, they can pay some money to,
The benches are actually a sponsorship program, so an individual bench is sponsored, and they're $12.50. There are, I think, opportunities, there are a limited number of opportunities, because there's only so many benches. I forget, maybe 20 or 22 benches. I think we have sold 11 so far, so we're about half through. But yeah. Nikki is in charge of the benches, so if you're interested in a bench, she's the person to contact. Yeah, so the discrepancy, we did, the RFP that we wrote up for the tree work was written up by me in conjunction with, I had feedback from Barry, and also the tree tagger by Integral. He also charges a half hour to actually go over it, and he actually bid on the job. So,
Integral was the guy who marked it.
yeah, it came in the highest.
$163,000.
Yep, yeah. So I can't explain it, I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
How did we get these bids? Did we call these people, or?
Yeah, a lot of them, well, we posted them, we posted it on the website, and also, there were a number of people actually who said they were gonna come and didn't show up for to bid on it, so,
Yeah, only 3 came in.
yeah.
How many people did we invite to walk through?
Well, it's not by invitation, but it was suggested to, I would say, about 6 tree companies.
6 tree companies.
6 maybe, actually, it might have been more than that, maybe in total, it might have been 7.
So you spoke to them, or who
Oh,
spoke
yeah.
to them?
Oh, I did, yeah. Yeah, because remember, I'd already gone through this for the tree tagging, so that I had already talked to a lot of tree people prior to this to give us estimates on the tree tagging. And then out of that, we didn't do a proper bid for that, it was just estimates, and then those were submitted. 3 of those were submitted, I think, yeah.
So they're gonna leave the stumps, right?
Yeah, they are,
So they're gonna chip
They're gonna
the
chip.
tops and
yeah. I
take
mean, the idea of this is that there's been no tree work done in that 8 acres, ever. The only tree work that's been done there is trees fall down, and then they get chopped up, sometimes. It's too big of an area for Gary to take care of, and there are trees down everywhere. It's really not walkable, and also for the forest health, so it's sort of it has to do with forest health, it has to do with beautification, and really it has to do with safety. There are a lot of dangerous trees in there right now, so we really need to get them down.
Trees these involve also damage existing monuments, we've had damage.
No, well, this is in the natural burial ground.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, but still, you know, people are walking through there now. It's getting a lot more attention. We're getting a lot more traffic through there.
It's just in a lot of wires there too, right?
And that's the other thing. We have the wires that go to Grassmere through there, which we're trying to address with the new Grassmere project. It's a separate issue. But those lines have come down at least 3 times in the last year. Actually, one time I had to stand there for 3 hours. Luckily, I just found it was as soon as you were walking into the natural burial ground. I mean, if a child had been walking in the cemetery, they would have walked with a live wire. This is all because those lines run through there. And the trees are a wreck, and they're coming down on that wire all the time. So,
I'm surprised Central Hudson wouldn't come and trim it.
They came right away.
they came in
Well,
like
3 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
So
You
we're
said don't touch
clearing, we're gonna clear trees in the 8 acres that are the natural burial
We're
ground?
taking down the trees that are dangerous that need to come down. So that's basically what we're doing. And then, this is part of this is the first step in the project. So that's what's gonna happen first. And then as part of our tree program, the Friends Tree Program, we will open up the natural burial ground to tree planting. Mostly doing shorter trees, you know, under canopy trees like dogwoods, so that we can increase the tree canopy, create more shade, drown out the invasives that are there. This is per the Hudsonia report and also the DEC's report. So it's, you know, this is a long-term project. This is really the beginning of it and sort of the big push. You know, last year, the cemetery brought in 3 times as much as we had typically brought in, and a lot of that had to do with the natural burial ground. We sold, one family bought 30 plots in there, and that more than enough pays for this tree work. So we are bringing in more money.
One family bought 30 plots, I don't remember signing the deeds.
They only put 2 deeds. They had 2 deeds made for 30 plots. Yep.
When was that?
That was
That was one.
last year,
Yeah.
last
Yeah, big
2016. Yeah, it was I think 2 or 3 brothers for their families.
They're from Walkers.
Son of Dutchess County.
Yeah, so, yeah, Hopewell, I think.
Hopewell, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we're doing a lot more pre-need in the natural burial ground and than we are in the conventional part of the cemetery. So we're bringing in money.
So,
We asked Warren to stay, did you have questions about this, Warren?
No,
or-
this is fine, as long as we have the money to do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we have, I can tell you, we have $137,000 in
Maintenance.
permanent maintenance fund. We have $21,000 in the capital fund.
20.
Okay, sorry, that's not okay.
Close one.
Yeah. This, of course, doesn't include the work for the engineer, that the engineer still needs to be paid for the wall, and integral still needs to be paid, but that might account for integral, because I think that's what she told me, that it was 21 without integral, so.
but how much is the wall gonna cost?
So the wall, we're going out for bid, so that's the second thing that's coming up here.
We don't have a
We
clue,
got
we have
estimates
a
on that.
clue, because it would seem
Yeah, we have a
to,
clue, yeah, we
you know,
do.
what's the clue?
The clue, if we're gonna do, there's 2 different kinds of walls that can be built. People can bid on both of them.
Right.
The one with the cement, with the facing, it will be more money. The one with the rubble, which is the historic kind of, it will be less money. The less money, probably around 125. We have, you folks approved $50,000 from the permanent maintenance fund. We have a $75,000 grant from Frost, and the Friends is putting up 10. So we have $135,000. We're ready to go. The Frost grant is, you know, they said if we don't do the project this year, we won't get the money.
So,
Sorry, can you tell me the
Go ahead.
cost again for that?
Well, I don't know what the exact cost will be.
The
because-
funds that we have.
Oh, sorry, 137,000 for permanent maintenance,
I'm sorry, how much for permanent maintenance?
137.
You're recommending that we take it all for the wall?
No. not
Okay.
recommended.
What are the costs, what sources of funding do we have for the wall?
You folks passed $50,000 from the permanent maintenance fund, up to $50,000 to be used for the wall. We have
And we've approved
You
that?
already approved that, yes. So we have $75,000 from Frost.
That's 125.
What's that?
125.
It's adding as you go.
And we have $10,000 from Friends of Rhinebeck Cemetery, so that's 135. So if the wall, if the estimates come in more than that, and based upon my conversations over the many years that I've been working on this with engineers and other stonemasons, the concrete wall will cost more money. Our committee is in favor of doing the rubber wall. the wall that's there lasted over 100 years, it was built that way. I think if we can get 100 years out of it, that's great. I don't know if we need to get more than that. So I think that we will have enough money to pay for the wall.
So
Yeah.
you got 135 maybe for the wall.
No, 135, we can definitely have that money.
Right, I understand. But then there's plus 29
Right.
if we accept this.
That's
bid.
right, that's right.
And the 29 is what, coming from
Permanent.
capital?
The permanent maintenance fund.
For the capital, we have 20,000 in
We take
there.
some from
We'll just-
each.
We'll close that capital plan, start another one.
Start another one, yeah.
Move that into fund it and
Makes
take another $10,000
And put it
from
in.
the permanent maintenance. So that'll leave us with 127 in our permanent maintenance. Then we can take 50 from there for the wall if it comes in.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
You still say Jan Mueller?
Oh, right. Yeah, you had passed, this is something that I had worked on, the receiving vault, some of the stone came down. We got estimates for that a few meetings ago. Jan Mueller got the job for that, but he had some injury with his arm, and so he's unable to do the work right now, and then he's going to Europe, so he won't be back until August. I assume we should just wait and see, not find someone else.
He's excellent. He did our steps. He was the lowest bid. If he's the lowest
That's
bid,
fine
it'd be
with us.
worth it to wait for him if you can.
Sounds
In my opinion.
Is that okay, folks?
I would think. Thank you. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Warren,
Oh.
I guess?
Do you want to answer that?
Well, no, we talked about this, there's another fund out there, we had the, Michael Hagerty with the Friends.
Can you speak into the
I'm
microphone?
sorry. There's another fund out there, the permanent maintenance.
The other
was
fund.
one.
Perpetual care.
Perpetual care.
We can't use the perpetual care for the, we have 113 in perpetual.
Right, but I understand that we can access that.
No, we need a court order to
I
access.
know, but I'm saying if we did the same thing with the permanent maintenance, go to court to have that taken care of.
Well, there was a decision made not to do that at the time that we went to the
Oh,
court
that's what I'm
special.
thinking. What can I
And
do?
there's some issues with regard to accessing those funds, which I would rather not discuss in public.
Fine.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Once this natural burial ground, is there permanent maintenance? I understand once in a while I'll have to take a tree down, but unlike the cemetery itself, or what I call the cemetery, this natural burial ground does not have permanent maintenance.
The main thing about our natural burial ground is that it's in a wooded area, and so in addition to burying green, we're basically stewarding the woods. So that's how, the maintenance of the burial ground really has to do with care for the woods, like you would care for any forest. So, you know, burials happen, they're mounded up, right, then eventually there's, you know, subsidency, they're leveled back out. Most often there's some sort of a marker, we have parameters for those markers. The only other thing that may come into play, in addition to planting trees as part of the Friends, is that we may come up with a plot planting plan. People aren't allowed to plant anything in there, but we may want to increase the spread of certain woodland herbs. And so we may come up with a plan for plot owners to purchase that, and then we would plant those plants and care for those plants.
The natural burial, do you dig a hole?
You dig a hole, 3.5 feet.
And the fact that we're not taking out the stumps, the roots of the trees that you're taking down will not interfere with the...
No, we're careful, I mean, every single spot in there is not a working burial plot because it has to be a certain distance from trees. So those are, we also allow cremation burial in there, so those are really cremation plots. But taking down some of these trees is also going to open up the canopy quite a bit, so we will have a bit more space.
So you've marked off where the various graves will be?
Yeah, we had a full survey for that.
Okay.
That's all been done. Yep, and every plot has a metal marker that it's also plotted out on a map, so it's cross-referenced several ways.
I have a question about the bid. I haven't seen the bid. Does the bid include the removal of the trees that are felled?
It does. It includes the chipping and the removal of the trees. And it also includes if there's any damage done to the forest, they have to take care of that. If there's any damage done to the road. So, you know, the idea is that it should look a lot better than it does right now when they're done. It's just that they can't grind every stump because there's a lot of trees,
Well, assuming we accept the bid, what's the next step? Is there a contract that is going to be entered into?
Yeah, I guess that's usually how it works, right? So then
Yeah, that's usually how it
that's
works.
usually how it works.
Well,
And-
it depends on the bid. Usually the contract is attached to the bid, but if we don't have a contract, I haven't seen the bid, so I'd have to see the bid documents to see if we have a contract.
Well, it's tab 8, it's
No,
just a
we need to have a
one-page
contract.
list of items, but you don't have warranties in there,
No.
you
We
know.
would have, if there's no contract,
Uh,
then we have to. we have
Bid
to create a-
specification had 16 items of work, but it's not a contract. I think you need a contract.
No, you need a contract.
Okay, you get that.
Yeah, it's not a bid.
So I assume, Warren, you're going to draft the contract.
If you want me to do that, that's fine, but I'm gonna need to see the bid. Get a
Doesn't
copy of
Doesn't
the
the,
bid and a copy of, I'm sorry, the invitation bid, and I need a copy of the bid that you've accepted.
so,
I'd be happy to give you my tab 8, which is the paper.
I mean, for the last, we had the tree tagging done, I don't think that we went through this process. But then, I don't know.
it's a lot more comprehensive.
Okay,
Do we want to amend this resolution to make it contingent on a contract
Yeah.
motion? You want to second it?
Yes.
Well, we already, excuse me, Elizabeth, we already have a provision in the resolution that you are authorized to execute any paperwork necessary to secure the work.
So you think
So
that
I think
covers the
so,
contract?
It clearly contemplates that there'll be paperwork.
If we don't put it in the resolution, sometimes we forget it, so it's best to, I think, say that we definitely want a contract for this.
Yeah.
Why don't you say, change the resolution so that, amend it orally so that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract as negotiated by the town attorney with the successful bidder.
So moved, seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have the resolution on the floor to award the bid for the tree removal. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thanks, Suzanne. And I guess I'll skip right away to resolution 2017-137. I will make a motion to request for proposals for repair of the stone wall at the cemetery. This is tab 11. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion on this?
There's one oddity, a second. Page 5. Second line, somehow or another, the town of Woodstock got into
I'm
this.
sorry, that's because it was
Really
that's
lifted,
that's my fault, yeah.
as we
So
often
the
do.
Woodstock
Why-
attorney doing
I knew
that.
that.
I didn't have anyone look it over.
If it's
Okay.
still the same one, it looks like there's a typo on the 4th line, contractor may bid on
Either.
either.
Yeah, so that's, oh, it should be either one, right?
Yeah, either or both.
Whether
Well, should Warren look at this request for
W's.
bids? This is gonna be over $100,000 maybe.
Which one are we talking
Yeah, I
about?
actually had a question,
This is the cemetery walls, to get bids on that.
yeah, there was something I wanted to ask you about that. Should we do a bond?
Completion bond. Let's refer this to Warren
Okay,
and,
What are we talking about? I'm
we're
sorry.
talking about, we're talking about tab 11 to go out to bid for the stone wall. Here you go, Warren.
You mean a performance bond?
that's it,
Yeah,
yes.
we want you to
A
look
bid,
at,
you know, for a project that size, we usually require performance.
so
Okay.
I'm going to amend this
But-
resolution to say that,
What?
Well, it's just that it's not that large of a project. It sort of falls into, you know, so some of the bidders,
Right now.
need to know that there's going to be a requirement of a performance bond. So maybe I should take a look
I
at
had the language for it, I took it out. I can put it back in, or I can send it to you.
let's
Well, let
refer
Warren
this to
look at
Warren.
this.
I want to amend this resolution to say that This is going to Warren, our attorney, and he'll look over the proposal, and it will be,
Why don't we just table it till we get,
The only concern, here's the concern I have though, if there's a little bit of a time issue, because you're not meeting this summer.
we're meeting in 2 weeks, so I would like to table it for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets all messed up.
It's just the work has to be done this year, or else Ross is gonna take away their thing, that's all I'm saying.
So
For a
let's,
project like this, we may find that some or all of the bidders won't be able to provide it. Or at least could do so only at a prohibitive expense. It's not so easy.
no, it's not.
It's not easy.
So that's why Warren needs to look at it. So you want to table this, and you'll follow up with Ed and get us what we need for our next meeting.
Yeah, let me take a look at this. If I need any more information, I'll contact you.
yeah, I don't think we had a performance bond on the solar projects. Didn't have it.
All right, well, Warren will look at it. I want to see what we
John,
want.
We have that in the pavilion project. We have a performance.
Is there any further discussion on this? You guys want to move on? Yeah?
You have to change the date of the site.
We've tabled this.
I just have a question, what was the disposition of the affordable housing public hearing, was it adjourned or closed?
It was held over until our next meeting.
Adjourned.
Okay, moving on. Warren, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
All right.
I'm going back to, I'm going to do 3 first. Resolution 2017-129, budgets, transfers, and amendments. And I have a second for that. Is there any discussion?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Alan, I'm going to ask.
Before I leave, I just wanted, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I needed to tell you something about the pavilion project bid.
Let us finish this and we'll come right back to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Alan, I'm going to ask that you meet with Shelley on the PCA
I've already spoken to her about
today.
it. No,
She needs you to talk to her.
all right, well,
All right.
I set up a meeting with PCA for Monday.
Make sure that, we're going to
But
cover
I'm
the
gonna
10 o'clock
vote-
county
I'm
meeting
gonna
with me.
vote yes.
Make sure Shelley can cover it with you, and you need to talk to her about
Sure.
what we've approved and what we're getting
Got it,
from
Alan,
PCA.
would you check on the cemetery thing with that?
yes,
Thanks.
yeah, getting them onto the network.
Okay. All right, the pavilion?
Yeah, I just want to let you know, on the pavilion project, I was asked, there was a successful bidder, they put it out to bid because of the Wicks law, for segments of the project, for the construction, and a separate bid for the electric. So there were essentially 4 separate items of work that went out to bid. The successful bidder for the general construction came in for 3 of those bids, and we have a separate, Asta Howard, I believe, is the successful bidder for the electric. And they contacted me over the weekend. They wanted to know if they could combine the contracts for the 3 principal, the general contractor, into one contract, even though it was put out to bid as 3 separate
Who
contracts.
contacted you?
I was contacted by Sally, who apparently met with the committee that's working on it. So I did contact the Andy, who's working on that from Crawford, and we agreed that that would be okay, so I'm assuming we won't have any problems with that. So we're going to combine, we're essentially going to have 2 contracts, and he's working on that. He'll get it to me, and I'll do my final approval when I see it.
Thank you. I'm going to go to resolution 2017-127. I make a motion for preliminary accounts payable abstracts, 51 checks totaling $88,408.64. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for resolution 2017-128 for our capital projects abstracts, 5 checks totaling $15,643. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Make a motion for resolution 2017-130 for the attendance of our town's historian at the annual conference on the Association of Public Historians in Poughkeepsie. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I'm asking for a motion on Resolution 2017-131 for the revised 2017 Recreation Park Concession Stand contract. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, on page 2 of the agreement in paragraph 5, we refer to the licensee paying $800, and then in the next line, we say we've set a fee of $1. I presume that's just a technical error, or
Yes, I think we can strike the whole last sentence because that's what we did in the beginning.
and certainly fix it.
Thank you.
Also, on the certificate of insurance, the very last page, some of which came up before, again, the policies have to be endorsed in order for us to effectively be a certificate holder that is protected. But there's a more important, well, not a more important problem, but an additional problem. Next to the last box at the bottom, the certificate provides that the certificate of holder is named as an additional insured with regard to commercial general liability coverage, provided there is a written contract or agreement between parties requiring such status. If you look at the agreement, I don't think it
It's
does
not
that.
in here, no.
There's a paragraph that kind of implies that it must exist, but it doesn't. And I think that has to be fixed.
I think we have to fix it tonight.
Where are you in the certificate of liability?
At the next to the last box, Joe,
Here.
provided there is a written contract between the parties requiring
Which
such status.
section states, which
If
section?
you go to page 5, you'll see a discussion in paragraph 21 of insurance. That's as close as this agreement gets. We need a provision specifically requiring that we be insured, we the town. So whoever's working on the contract should make that change.
I think probably Warren must have this on his machine.
I don't know. I
Who
just don't know where
generated
this
the
came from.
contract, Alan, do we know?
It's
I
probably
don't know,
think-
this is the contract that's been around for years.
I think Elaine,
No, we made changes at
I
the
know,
last.
Warren reviewed it, but
I
it
think
wasn't
Elaine made the
rewritten.
changes, so
No, but we made changes at our last meeting about the 800.
I think
when
Elaine made the
it's
changes,
payable.
Joe. Yeah,
So I'm
Elaine,
assuming Warren must have put that in.
Elaine made the changes.
Would you like me to
Would
check
you-
with Warren in the morning?
Would you follow up?
Sure.
So do we want to approve this with the,
I think we can approve it provided the contract is changed, and we can take the language right off the certificate to provide that the written contract between the parties require the town of Rhinebeck to have additional insured status under the commercial general liability coverage.
Could we add that
provided by-
as just a sentence at the end of paragraph 21?
Well, I think that probably pertains to the fact that we're indemnified, but from what I've heard, the indemnification from this licensee is going to be very useful to us. We've got to make sure the insurance is right.
Right.
And I'll talk to Warren about it tomorrow.
we'll
Okay.
talk to
Okay.
Warren and make the change?
All right.
Yes, John?
I'm sorry. I was unclear on paragraph 5, the 800.
We're striking the last sentence.
Last sentence where it talks about a fee of $1.
Striking that.
$800?
Yes, we're striking the whole last sentence. We're approving this contingent on Chauncey's adding
$800.
language for the insurance in the contract.
The $800 is roughly what the utility bill would be for that operation.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Resolution 2017-132, Recreation Department hires for 2017. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'll make a motion for Resolution 2017-133, memorialization in support of the Hudson River Sloop Clearwater Sail to Washington, D.C. to maintain clean water and other environmental protections. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. We've done 8. Resolution, I'm looking for a motion for Resolution 2017-135. This is tab 9, awarding bid for the sale of surplus cemetery mowers. May I have a
Make a
motion?
motion.
Thank you. May I have a
Second.
second? Is there any discussion here? We have 3 people who bid on one of the 2 mowers. One person bid on both, but the sum of the 2 high bidders is more than the sum of the person who bid on both. So I think we are awarding the $672 and the $451. Any
Okay.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Look for a motion for Resolution 2017-136, awarding bid for sale of surplus cemetery truck.
Make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
We have a high bid of $1,255. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I think we're done. Is there any new business items? Anybody? You have a discussion? Oh, committee report. Great, thank you.
Last Thursday, I attended the CAB meeting. In attendance were
Ed, I can't hear you, you gotta talk louder, you're talking to the speaker.
Melvin
Just can't hear
Gates, Corinna Borden, Teresa Velarde, and Ryan Dowd, who's the chairperson, and Bob Donaldson. I just wanted to find out what they're doing. Right now, they're working on a project at the Astor Courts, and the Astor Courts is going into renovation very soon, around June 25th or so. So they've got a 5-phase site they have to do and various things to look at. And while I was there, I just wanted to find out what else they're doing. And we also have a project beginning on Ackerville Road. So kind of a spa might be going in, and they have to look into
It's
that.
the Rock Ledge project.
Rock.
It's before the planning board. It's condos and country inn type 1.
It's new business. And Bob Donaldson was there, and he has done, I just want to show you this. He's done a complete CAB resource guide for all new members of
Oh,
CAB.
fabulous.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I just want to acknowledge that he did all this. It's about 193 pages long, and John printed it, and he also put it on the website. So
Fantastic.
I'll keep this downstairs for all the members. They were thrilled to have it.
That's great. That's a
Yeah,
lot of good
it's
work.
really good. I just want to credit. That's what I
Thank you. Thanks for going. Any other liaison reports? Any new business before the town? Discussion item, regarding garbage barrels. I think this is you, Ed.
I know it is.
Do we have anything in here, or is this all? I know you sent an email to all of us.
I sent an email, that's about it. Mr. Gasparini over on Old Post Road behind the Rhinebeck Barracks, he's had an issue with folks leaving trash barrels out. He doesn't mind them being put out when they're going to be picked up for garbage, but now they're all leaving them out permanently and stuffing garbage out there. And he's written to Ron, called Ron, and Ron really, we don't have any jurisdiction over that, so he's asking that we do something. He's looking for a local law of some kind, and the only problem we have with that is we really can't enforce anything, but then again, we haven't got anything on the books to enforce, so.
Wants a local law disallowing garbage cans from being left at the end of.
All the time.
I don't know
I think Joe mentioned maybe just a letter to the residents.
Based on what? It's
Just
private
comment.
property, unless we have a law on the
Well,
books.
there's an animal problem, there's a vermin problem, we're leaving things
It's
out.
the only complaint I've heard.
Okay.
I mean, I've never received a complaint about this.
Got it. Just leave it.
I don't know what your feeling is, I can bring it up with the zoning review group, but we,
I thought maybe a letter, we did that with the Frontier on Slate Quarry, or Cooperative. it's a real problem, you know, maybe a letter to the residents,
A
asking
letter
them.
to the resident who this one resident is
He wants-
complaining
I
about?
think you mean a letter to everybody, don't you?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, that, you know, we ought to look and see who's leaving their garbage cans out.
They all are.
What?
No, no. I drove the road on Saturday
And?
in the afternoon, 7/10 of a mile. By my count, there were 9 trash barrels out. 5 of them looked as though they were on the road. 4 of them were back far enough from the edge of the road that my guess is that they were on private property. 2 or 3 of them were kind of loaded with cardboard sticking out the sides and so forth. I mean, it's not something you want in your community, but trash is a problem, it's got to be dealt with. I like Joe's approach. I think this is the kind of thing where maybe this gentleman and others go around and talk to their neighbors, and you try and stimulate cooperation. My instinct is, this is pretty complicated trying to do a law. I just would rather see us do it another way.
I agree. Well, there's a long-term need, this is a neighborhood issue between several residents there. so-
In that neighborhood?
Yes. There's a long-standing issue between the person who wrote the complaint and the person about whom he's complaining.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Okay. Want me to get back to him? or just-
I think we're loath to create a local law regulating trash cans unless you guys want me to talk to the zoning review group about it. I can put it on.
I'm loath.
I am too.
I'm with you.
And we're very,
So we just let it go?
think we let it go.
Well, yeah, maybe periodically you can go by and let's see, and we can send a letter if we
Send a
think
letter
it's
what?
habitual.
Saying
Saying that, there's
Saying
been
that we don't like
complaint.
it, there's nothing on our law, I think it's an overstep.
I think you can appeal to people.
You know, why
so
can't we, as a town
sensitive.
board, encourage people to behave responsibly and whatever weight we have? Yeah, shame on you, exactly. It's worth a try.
I think it's an overstep, but if that's what you guys want to do, that's fine. No?
Let's check to see whether there's a real problem, and if we think there is a real problem, we could send them.
My impression was that it's probably about the same length as the street I live on, and the number of barrels out is very minimal compared to what you see if you drive down South Street tonight, because tomorrow morning's our
We
pickup.
do have laws, you can't put trash barrels on our town, on our roads, they have to be on your property. You know, we have laws saying what you can and can't do on,
Well, there may be a contradiction here then between that and what Welsh sanitation does, which is tell people to put their trash barrels not more than 2 feet from the curb. Now, I don't know that there's a curb on Old Post Road, but when I put ours out, I suspect they're sitting on village, or whoever owns
I
that
think
street.
for pickup, we're fine with it, but if people habitually stored things on town roads, there would be an issue.
Well,
And there's highway law.
There may be these 5 that I saw that look as though they may be on the road yet. 5 in 7/10 of a mile. Yeah, there may be a violation, I agree. Let's ask them to be good citizens and stop.
Okey-dokey. Is there any further discussion?
Pardon me?
Is there-
Yeah, I think enforcement would be a nightmare. When somebody puts their thing out, the time has come when they're supposed to have removed it, some kind of a citation is issued. They say, I was in the hospital with a broken leg, or I was out of town, I was caught in a snowstorm, I couldn't get home.
Or it was on my own property,
Yes,
which is
it's,
where I leave mine.
let's not open
As do
Pandora's
I.
box if we don't have
At the end of
to.
the road, at the end of my driveway.
That's not, I make them come into my driveway.
Is there any further business before the town board? Anybody have anything? Any town board members? Hearing nothing, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right.
John,